Hi everyone, so here we are. Everything's all good to go. My plane, all the glue's dried. She's essentially ready to fly. So a few things. I've already popped my battery in and balanced it. I've got a 2200 3S battery here, and it's relatively far back. I probably still have about another inch, about half an inch or so that I could go. So I'm just going to sort of gently pinch it right where we poke the holes there for the center of gravity. So it's pretty well balanced. In fact, it might be slightly nose heavy. Maybe it's easier for you to see this way, which is not too bad for a maiden flight. I certainly wouldn't want it a whole lot more nose heavy than that. You know, like, I mean, nose heavy is good, but nose heavy within reason. You know, it's not one of these things where, oh, the more nose heavy it is, the more stable it'll be. That's not the case. So a little bit nose heavy to start off with won't be too bad. So the other thing I did was I had to make just a couple of fine-tune adjustments in my transmitter, and I'm just going to show you here. I've done actually a full, far more detailed video, which I'll have linked down below, on how my whole process for center of gravity, doing my maiden flight, balancing my plane, all that sort of stuff. With my T50 version 5, but you know, the same process is the same for all my park jets for me anyway. So I'm going to link that down below. You can go watch that in more detail. But I just want to show you here real quick. Now on the plan view, it recommends starting off with about 1.5 inches of throw travel in each direction in the pitch and the roll, and about 30% expo. So if you're really brand new starting off, I would probably go with the with at least a 30% expo. If you have done some flying already and you're used to a bit more than that, pardon me, please feel free to you know, use whatever expo you feel comfortable with. I'm just going to go with the expo that I normally fly with, just because I'm used to the reaction time. But because I've sort of built this aimed towards beginners, I know, you know, having flown this plane quite a bit, I know just for getting started off that 1.5 inches might be a little bit too much. So I'm just going to fire up my plane here. Okay, and we'll talk. I'll show you briefly what I'm going to do for my maiden flight to get started off. Okay, so I've got my battery plugged in. All right, so I'll get everything down here far enough. So what I've done is I've already gone into my transmitter, and I've made sure that, you know, when I pull back on the stick here, that my two elevons are deflecting upwards equally. What you don't want to, I'm just going to show you here. So let's say, you know, that's a bit exaggerated, but let's say that is what your elevons look like when you pull straight back on the stick. What's going to happen is now, you know, every time you go up, your plane is also going to turn right. So you want to try and get, if you can, in your transmitter, adjust, you know, your throws, your travel, whatever, so that when you pull back on the stick, that both your elevons go up the same amount. You know, pushing down, it's not quite so bad. I mean, if you want to eventually do a lot of flying around inverted, then you may need to maybe adjust your sub trims or something to adjust the travel of your servos. So what I have done, and I'm just going to try and show you here. Actually, I'll just use this this angle piece bit here. Is I've actually set my throws, and what I do is I just hold my ruler. You know, sit the plane obviously on a flat surface. I hold my ruler, and then what I do is I pull back. So I've actually got just a tiny bit more than 1 inch actually of travel in the pitch, and then the same thing in the roll. Oops, that's not good for my servo. And then the same thing in the roll. So I've gone for about 1 inch of travel to get started. Now, you know, I'm pretty confident, having flown this plane before, that that's going to be enough. Definitely in the pitch, you know, to keep me so that, you know, I'm not going to hopefully run into the ground. I may need to, you know, as I want to start doing some more basic aerobatics like rolls and things like that. I more than likely might have to crank it up a little bit in the pardon me, in the roll axis. Now there's a couple of different ways obviously you can do it depending on how capable your transmitter is. I always find it's a lot easier to do it in my transmitter, but I purposely selected this hole in the middle of the servo. So if you find that, you know, even at 100% on your transmitter, you're still not getting enough travel, you know, when you're flying around, you can also mechanically give yourself an advantage. When you move the push rod further out on the servo arm, it's going to cause your control surfaces to move a lot further. So I started off in the center, just to kind of split the difference. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to start off with. I'm going to start off with about 1 inch of travel, and again, you know, I'm going to take you along for the ride when we get out to the field and I get my maiden flight done. And I would encourage you, if you don't have a lot of experience flying, or you've never flown a park jet before, just go have a quick look through that video that I talked about. The one thing about flying park jets that are quite a bit different, you know, because you've got the motor. I'm just going to go ahead and unplug my battery here. I don't want to keep putting my fingers in the way of the prop here with my battery connected. It's not a safe practice. Alright, there we go. I'm going to shut the transmitter off and get that out of the way. One thing that will happen, and I'll just do this by hand, is that, you know, when you get really slow with these, because you have essentially, you know, thrust vectoring, or you have a pretty good size of surface area that's actually in the prop wash, and your prop, you know, being right here, it's a fairly strong prop wash. So some things to watch for if you've done some flying before but have never flown a park jet is you want to be careful, you know, if you get really slow and then hammer on a whole bunch of elevator, because what then ends up happening is that these then they'll, especially if the plane is slow, they'll end up acting like speed brakes. And then if you don't let off the elevator and hammer the power even more, one of two things is going to happen. Either it's just going to basically sit there in a power stall, or it's going to, you know, do some crazy ninja flip. So those are some things to watch for if you have flown RC some before and you haven't flown a park jet. Those are things that are going to you know, could possibly cause you some grief. So, you know, because we're just flying with elevons only, it's going to be pretty much yank and bank, you know. So we're just going to have, you know, we've got a mixture of elevator and aileron, hence the name elevons. So, you know, it's just going to be yank and bank. Essentially, we're flying 3-channel. We've got a throttle, and then I fly mode 2, so my right stick is essentially how I'm going to direct the airplane around. So, yeah, so again, you know, just touching real important things on before you go flying. Really do a good once over on your plane. Make sure that, you know, all your glue joints are good, everything's secured. You know, you've got everything taped down here, nice and safe in your electronics base, so nothing's going to go flying and possibly get in the way of the prop, or, you know, get tangled. You want to make sure that that's all secure. All your servos, you know, make sure your servos are glued in nice and solid. Your control horns, your push rods, all that sort of stuff. Your motor, of course, nice and solid. My my Gorilla Glue is now hardened completely, so it's really solid and strong. So that's a good thing to do. And then again, like I said, get those control surfaces so that, especially when you're pulling up to climb, that, you know, your plane's not doing one of these because one of your elevons is deflecting more than the other. Yeah, so there we go, folks. I appreciate your patience and I appreciate you watching this video. I know that there were probably times that I droned on a little bit, or you had to sit here and painfully watch me, you know, make, like when I was trying to deal with my motor issue there. But, you know, that's what Fast Forward is designed for with YouTube. So again, check the comments down below. If you haven't already, I mean, you've gone all the way through this, but also, you know, check again at the intro video. There's in the intro video, I'll link it in this one below as well. There's a post that I've written up that'll have some links and some basic instructions on, you know, how to join RC Powers, how to get signed up, how to print your plans off, that sort of thing. That will also be helpful to you. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you've decided to build this plane, I hope that this has been helpful to you. You know, and you know, if you built one before, maybe there's some tips there that might help you. I hope you enjoyed the build if you decide to do it, and I hope you really hope that you enjoy flying your RC Powers Mig-29 version 1. you know, for such a simple setup, it's just really one great fun plane, and you know, I just have a great time flying it. So thanks for watching. Blue skies, calm winds to everyone. Park jet noise, the other sound of freedom, baby. Take care.